Well, two for sale signs south of the border now in what is increasingly becoming a trend amid growing political tensions and economic uncertainty. Some Canadian snowbirds are packing up and saying goodbye to their U.S. homes for good.
The lower Canadian dollar, interest rates, and the rising cost of living down south have many snowbirds thinking of getting rid of their properties. And the way U.S. President Donald Trump has been treating Canada lately has been the nail in the coffin for some to pull the trigger.
Canadian snowbirds are selling their U.S. vacation homes and getting out. Some are saying they will never return. But are the Canadians fleeing the U.S. in a panic? The headlines might have you believing that yes, that is what is happening. I think we can all agree there are a lot of reasons why someone sells a home, especially a second home. Maybe the cost of maintaining it has just gotten out of control. Maybe the owner has died and the kids are just not interested in taking it over. Or life has changed and the home is just no longer needed. I'm sure all of those reasons are coming into play. But in this particular instance, it's the relationship between countries that has put people on edge. From the Canadians I've spoken with, the decision to leave and possibly not come back is not a panic-driven decision. It's rooted more around a feeling of disrespect, a worry about what the future holds for them, especially if they own property in the U.S., and a concern about possibly being detained at the border for unknown reasons. I live in Florida, and Florida is the most popular destination for Canadian buyers. Just to share with you some numbers, approximately 3.3 million Canadians visited Florida in 2024, according to the state's Tourism Association. In a 2024 report by the National Association of Realtors, Canadians made up about 13% of all foreign buyers in the United States, spending about $5.6 billion buying homes. And among that 13%, approximately 41% bought in Florida. Other popular states that Canadian snowbirds tend to flock to include Texas, California, Arizona, Hawaii, and South Carolina. Whether you are for it or against it, the fact is that Canadians make up a big portion of those who enjoy the snowbird life in our warm southern states during the winter months. Here in our little corner of Florida, approximately 120,000 Canadians visited in 2024. That's according to the Naples, Marco Island, Everglades Convention and Visitors Bureau. But is it true to say that they are actually fleeing the U.S. in droves? When COVID hit, that is when I saw Canadians panic and flee. They really had no choice. They had to get across the border before the border closed. In 2021, as soon as word dropped that the border was closing, the Canadians couldn't get out of here fast enough. There were car carriers arriving around the clock. Communities that have a heavy contingent of Canadians suddenly felt like ghost towns. It was weird. We're not seeing that now. What we are seeing are Canadians questioning their investment in U.S. housing. They look forward to escaping their long, harsh winters and coming to the U.S., where they bought a home in a sunny and warm locale. But now, with stiffer rules at the border, some are wondering if this is just the beginning. If you're not aware, Canadians coming to the U.S. with plans to stay for more than 30 days are required to register with the Department of Homeland Security. If they don't, they could face fines or even criminal charges. Some Canadians are saying flat out no to these requirements.
Not something that I'm going to do. I'm not going to be fingerprinted to visit the country.
One of my Canadian customers became even more concerned recently over the new rules when her sister was turned away at the border. While they weren't given an exact reason as to why she was refused entry to the U.S., they could only assume it was because she had a one-way ticket into the U.S., but no return ticket home to Canada. Right now, Canadians can stay in the U.S. for up to 6 months, but some are wondering if that is going to change. Some, whether they own or rent property in the U.S., are canceling their plans to return next year. According to Canadian market researcher Ledger, 59% of Canadians say they are less likely to visit the U.S. in 2025. And some 36% of Canadians with U.S. travel plans have canceled them. Apparently, we have already experienced a drop in Canadian visits this year. Statistics Canada reports 23% less car trips from Canada into the US. And they report a 13% dip in round-trip air travel. That's when comparing February of 2025 with last February. So how does this impact the US?
Lisak says that even a small dip in visitors can have an impact.
We continue to improve the island and put up new buildings and, repair things. So every dollar does count.
This impacts more than just residential real estate and tourism. Did you know that Canada owns more U.S. commercial real estate than any other country? According to Business Insider, Canada has invested $184 billion in everything from multifamily housing units to shopping centers since 2015. Other countries invested 31% more in U.S. commercial real estate in 2024 than the year before, with Canadian investors leading the way. But as tensions rise between the U.S. and Canada, deals are slowing. Some experts think that Canadian investors will start looking at real estate deals in Europe versus the U.S. Another factor weighing on my Canadian customers is the value of the Canadian dollar to the U.S. dollar. The difference has made the maintenance of a home in the U.S. much more expensive for the Canadians, and the financial strain is prompting some to sell their U.S. properties. But many report that the Canadian dollar has been low for several years, and therefore is minor in comparison to what Canadians feel is a "you're not welcome here" message from the United States. Canadians are angry and sad. Check out some of these comments being made online. Whether they are selling their property in the U.S. or choosing not to vacation in the U.S., Canadians are boycotting the United States as a show of support to their country. As one Canadian said, Canadians are fiercely patriotic. There are many other warm places around the world that Canadians can go to escape their harsh winters. It is interesting to see all the invitations pop up to Canadians, encouraging them to invest in other countries, such as Mexico, coastal areas of Europe, the Caribbean. Some Canadians feel there are cheaper places than the U.S. to winter. As one Canadian put it, the U.S. is not the bargain it once was, but they prefer the weather. But the uncertainty between the two governments is the wild card that many people are just not willing to take a chance on. As you might imagine, the American response is a mixed bag. Some feel that this will free up some housing for U.S. families to purchase. Others feel that this will translate to fewer foreign buyers and, in essence, lower home prices, making them more affordable for the average American. Others feel it's a small percentage and it won't have that big of an impact. And then there's others who have made great friends with some of their Canadian neighbors over the years and are sad to see them go. Snowbird season is wrapping up, or has wrapped up in some areas of the U.S. So now it's just a wait and see to see how the snowbird season will be impacted at the end of 2025 and into 2026. There has definitely been a lot more homes coming to market for sale the last few months in Florida and in some areas of Texas. If you've been considering buying a snowbird getaway for yourself, now might be a great time. There are a lot of choices, which is putting downward pressure on prices in some markets. To secure your home away from home, click on the link below. There will be a short form for you to fill out, and we can connect to discuss your exact situation. This will give me the opportunity to connect you with the right agent so you can start searching for your vacation home. And if you just want some more information on the general snowbird life, check out these videos here. Thanks for joining me. I'm Alysia Shivers. Until next time.